Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. Welcome to my monthly video on the best board games coming to retail. This is October 2023, and we have a lot of stuff this month. There was over 50 games coming to retail this month. I can't include all of those in this video, so I'm going to run through about 30 of them in this video. How do I find the things coming to retail? Well, it's really just talking to a lot of publishers. I don't include anything in this video that hasn't been confirmed by the publisher themselves. So I'm doing a lot of online research, emailing literally hundreds of people, and then, I get a bunch of games confirmed. If it hasn't been confirmed by them, I don't include it in this video, and then I have to do a lot of research on the games and try to actually watch videos about them, and that's how I whittle it down from those ones that are confirmed to the ones included in this video. Some of it is just what's getting good reviews and what's getting people are saying nice things about it, then I might include that. I also really want a variety of games in this video. I want to include things for heavy gamers, for families, for party gamers, all different types of games. So you're going to find a lot of different things in this video, and as always, I hope you really find something that you like. I mean, that's why I do this video, to highlight some games that maybe flew under the radar and get you a new game out there so you can keep playing stuff. So here we go. Here are the best games coming to retail in October 2023. Arcane Wonders is releasing the game Neotopia to retail in October. Neotopia is an abstract tile-laying game with a city-building theme on top of it. You are going to be placing out tiles and trying to match patterns on your cards, and that's how you're going to score points, is by creating patterns of stuff out on the board. So if you like abstract-y type of games, this is a good one. And there's a lot of abstract games that only play 2 players. Well, this is a 2 to 4 player abstract game. It's of that sort of light medium weight category and plays in 30 to 60 minutes. One of the interesting things about it is, in the end, you score the game. You will score the regions that you have your 2 highest scores in, but then you will triple the score of your lowest scoring region. So you need to pay attention to not have a super low scoring region. You want to have points in all of the different regions, so that makes it sound kind of cool and interesting. Asmodee, in association with Ludo Nova, is releasing Amritsar. This is a heavier weight Euro game. If you are a fan of Euro games, we actually have a decent amount hitting retail this month. So the theme of Amritsar, the Golden Temple, is the Maharaja needs your Mancala skills and your elephant to rebuild the temple. So there are multiple sort of things that you're doing in the game. You are moving your elephant around and getting benefits and placing out cubes for that, but then you're also picking up workers and then dropping them Mancala style around the board and only taking the action of the last worker that you place down. So if you like that sort of 5 tribes feeling where you're picking up dropping off Mancala style along the way and only taking the last action, this is a heavier Euro game that uses that mechanism. And that mechanism, 5 Tribes is a wonderful game, and I don't feel like that mechanism has been used enough in strategic Euro-y style games. So that's one of the things that caught my attention on this game. It's 1 to 4 players and plays in 60 to 120 minutes. So, there's a lot going on for sure. There's a lot of different things to learn, but if you're a fan of Euro games, check this one out. Speaking of Euro games, one of the most hyped ones of the last few years is also having its retail release this month, and that is Darwin's Journey from Asmodee and Thundergriff Games. This had a very big Kickstarter, or if it wasn't a Kickstarter, it was a crowdfunding campaign. I can't remember which one, but it was big, And, backers have already gotten their copies. Now it is having its retail release. So if you missed the campaign, you have a chance to get it now. This is, one of the most heavyweight games that you will see in this video. I feel like a lot of the retail releases really sort of focus on that medium weight. Not just me, but just sort of what's hitting retail is often times more in that sort of light to medium weight. Well, this is a heavyweight. This is a worker placement Euro game, and there is a lot going on. You could move your people along an exploring track. You can move a ship along this river. You can upgrade your workers. You can place workers out and get benefits. There's a lot going on, and so know that going in. But this is also a game that is already in the top 300 on BGG. It just came out this year and it's already in the top 300. So it's a great game, but it's a big learn, a big teach that you need to be prepared to jump into. But if you are, then check it out. Darwin's Journey. A lot of people are liking it right now. I can't speak to the differences between the retail version and the Kickstarter version. There are often, differences. The, components sort of are, cardboard instead of plastic or things like that. But I'll leave that for you to discover what the differences are in the retail version. But know that you can get it if you missed the campaign. Asmodee and Captain Games are releasing the party game Sides. This plays 2 to 9 players in 30 to 60 minutes. I love word association party games. Games like Codenames, So Clover, Just One, Decrypto. There are a lot of sort of word association, word clue-giving games. And this is one that fits into that same world here. So in the way, it's a cooperative word game, and what you are doing is there are going to be letters out on the board, and you have to give a clue starting with one of the letters that is on the ends of the row. You cannot use any of the letters that are in the middle of the row. You can only use letters that are on the ends of the row. Now you pull that out. Now there's a new letter that is on the end of the row. And so you are trying to, get somebody to guess a particular word. You want them to guess ninja? Well, okay, this clue was stars, and this clue was hidden, and this clue was fighting, and hopefully it all adds up to helping someone guess a specific word. But the clever difference is that you have to use clues that start with particular letters and that are only on the edges of the card row, hence why it is called Sides. So, I get what they did there. Asmodee and Space Cowboys are releasing the game Perspectives. This is a sort of mystery-solving game. We've seen a lot of mystery-solving games over the last few years. The difference in this game, the unique thing about Perspectives, is that each player holds key information for piecing together what has happened and finding the solution. So we're not all looking at the same piece of information. We all have different pieces of information, and we are telling people what we know, and then we have to piece all of the information from individual players together into one cohesive story to figure out the case, and so that, I haven't seen that in one of these sort of detective style games before. Usually it's like we're all working it out together and somebody can really take over and just say this is what we're doing, and then you're a quieter person, so you just sort of ride in the back seat and you don't contribute at all. Well, this game, everybody has to contribute because you all have different information. There are 3 cases in the game, and each case has 4 different acts. And so, it is one of those ones, once you play through it, you're going to know it, but there is a decent amount of stuff to play through with the multiple cases in this game here. Barrel Age Games is releasing the card game Stool Pigeon. This is for 2 to 6 players and plays in about 25 minutes. if you ever played the card game Golf when you were a kid, I played that a lot with my sister, where you are having cards face down and you can flip over some of them and you are trying to get the collective least amount of points on your cards. Well, Stool Pigeon is like that card game Golf, but with more player interaction and more specific cards with special abilities. You are doing the same thing where you're going to have 4 cards in front of you and you are trying to, ascertain the number of the card and try to get out having the lowest value of cards. But in this version, you can flip over other people's cards. You can try to replace cards from other people. There are specific pigeon cards that will give you special abilities, like flipping over somebody else's card or looking at one of your extra cards, things like that. And so, it feels like a classic card game, but with more player interaction and a little bit more sort of light take that. You're not really ever screwing anybody over completely, but you can mess with them. And I like games with player interaction, so I like that this feels like a classic card game, but with more interaction between the people at the table. They say it plays 25 to 50 minutes, but that's really, you can play just a hand of this is 5 minutes, and then you can play as many hands as you want. So, it's definitely, it's a small box card game, so if you're looking for a small box game, Stool Pigeon is a good one. Board and Dice is releasing the heavy Euro game Nucleum. So Board and Dice is known for their heavier Euro games, and this is the much anticipated new one in their line of heavy Euro games. This one, is probably about the same weight as a Darwin's Journey, the 2 heaviest games of the month this month for retail releases. In Nucleum, you are trying to become the leader of the Industrial Revolution in an alternative timeline. And this is certainly a big game. I had a chance to sit down and demo it at Gen Con, and it takes up a big table. I would not be able to fit it on this table, pretty much. But there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of engine building. There's just a lot of cool mechanisms in the game, and there's all this economy in it and stuff like that. You're going to be doing some route building where you're trying to connect things along the board to help your process. There's just there is a lot going on, but it is one that I think will make some people's top 10 games of the year. People who like heavier games are gonna love Nucleum from Board and Dice, and it looks really cool on the table too. It's a Euro game that has a little bit more color and a little bit more vibrancy to it, which I get a little tired of just the sort of beige all the time, and so I like the sort of bright colors in Nucleum for a heavy Euro game. So yeah, check that one out for sure. Bright Eye Games is releasing The Plot Thickens, and there are actually 3 versions of The Plot Thickens. There is a detective one, a romance one, and a sci-fi one. They all play the same mechanism-wise, but they are different genres, and you can actually combine them if you want to, or you can play them individually and separately. It is a storytelling improv, sort of party game. It plays 3 to 4 players in 20 minutes, but if you combine multiple of those genres, you can increase the player count. And so what you're doing is you are all sort of collectively telling a story, and you have cards that are plot points that you need to work into the story. And so you are just telling a story with your friends and then putting this card down and going I've woven this into the story, and then you go, meanwhile, and then the next person has to pick up the story and play some of their cards. And so point-wise, if you care about points in a game like this, you are the storyteller who is able to weave in the most of their cards into building the story is gonna potentially win the game. So yeah, if you like storytelling stuff, The Plot Thickens is a good one. And again, there's a detective genre, a romance genre, and a sci-fi genre. So all those will sort of, push the story into different directions based on those genres. Chili Fox Games is releasing the game Footprints to retail. This is a... it sort of looks like the Quest for El Dorado, but it is not a racing game. There are these tiles you are putting down, and the tiles have different terrain types on them, and so you're going to sort of build a whole board with these modular tiles, and then the game is about planning your route and using the cards in your hand to move along the board and get benefits along the way, but you don't have to make it to the other side. If you make it to the other side, you're going to get some points, but that is not the only way to get points and not the only way to win the game. So that's why I say it's not just a race game trying to get to the other side, but instead it's more about sort of your route building and your hand management. One of the things that I love in games is you're going to use a card and then you don't get to pick up that card again. You are trying to figure out, you're trying to manage your hand to move around this board in the best way possible for you. And you can improve your skills and make it better. Oh, I can move through this type of terrain better now because I improved that skill. And so you are just, it is a competitive game. And the other cool thing is they are asymmetric player powers in that each clan has their own deck. So one clan might be really good at moving through forest, or another clan might be really good at moving through tundra, that sort of thing. You're gonna have your own deck, and then with the the tiles and stuff, it makes for a modular board with variable setup, so the game feels different in that way for sure. It's 1 to 6 players and plays in 30 to 60 minutes. That is Footprints from Chili Fox Games. Dead Alive Games is releasing Lunar Rush to retail. This was on my most anticipated games of the year. At the beginning of 2023, I made a top 15 most anticipated games, and this was on it because I actually had a chance to play the prototype multiple times, and I love this game. And this is one that, Dead Alive Games is a small publisher, so this is one that I for sure hope that more people check out because it's a great game, and I don't want it to go under the radar. I think that everybody who plays it is going to enjoy it. Well, at least, if you like sort of medium weight, Euro-y types of games. But the thing that's so interesting about this game is there's a lot of Euro-y type of stuff where you are managing resources, you're placing down workers and trying to upgrade your engine, all of that sort of stuff. But the thing that is different is that there are these routes that are going from the Earth to the Moon, and there's this really interesting timing decisions in the game. You can get resources to use right away if you take the fast route, but the fast route can only hold a couple of resources, whereas the slow route, well, it's going to take like 3 turns to get that resources, but you can load up the cart. And so there's this really interesting push and pull between short-term and long-term planning in the game. And it is a bit of a punishing game in the sense that, like, if you make a mistake, you're done. You gotta be thinking so far ahead and planning it all out in your brain in order to play this game, because there are times where I played it and I just didn't think 2 turns ahead and someone else did, and I was like, oh, I'm screwed now. I'm screwed. And it was my own fault for not really considering how I was gonna build my engine and how I was gonna upgrade my stuff for the game. It's really, really good though. I like it a lot. It is 1 to 4 players, plays in 45 to 75 minutes, but in my plays that sort of 75 was more common for sure. So if you like, the other nice thing about it is simultaneous play. We're all flipping over stuff. We're choosing which card to use, and then we're flipping over stuff, and then we're doing our upgrades all at the same time. So it does move. While it is a lot to think about, I don't feel like the turns are slow, and that's one of the things I like about the game a lot. So Lunar Rush from Dead Alive Games. Devere Games is releasing The White Castle, and this is another one in their line of... Devere does this really cool line of decently small box, but very strategic games. They are mostly medium weight games, and The White Castle fits right into that. I'm talking about Three Ring Circus. I'm talking about the Red Cathedral. The White Castle is supposed to be sort of the spiritual successor to the Red Cathedral. And the Red Cathedral is a game I love, love, love. And the White Castle is also really cool. I've had a chance to play this one. It is 1 to 4 players, plays in about 80 minutes. And it is a tight game. When I think of like tight games where you have to just, you only have 9 turns in the game. You have to get all of the stuff you're trying to accomplish done in 9 turns. And so every turn is agonizingly important in this game. It can occasionally lead to AP because you are trying to math it all out and figure out how to maximize your points, because 2 points in this game can make all of the difference in the world. But it's just really cool. You are taking dice, you are drafting dice from these bridges, and then using the dice on the board to get special benefits and place out workers and that sort of stuff. So, you know, if you like dice placement, which I do, it's I think a really cool mechanism. The interesting thing is the dice you draft, that doesn't actually restrict that many spots out there, but based on the number of the spot, you can either go higher than it or lower than it, but you're going to have to earn or pay coins in one of those situations, you know? So you are trying to figure out how to get money out of placing dice, because that money's going to help you do other stuff. And then there are a lot of different ways to score points in this game, and I think the winning strategy is about being like not just one thing, but being sort of good at a bunch of different things, but maybe not just great at one thing. I need to play it more. I've only played it a couple of times, but I really, really liked it. And it's one of those games that like you think about after you've playing. You're like, oh, okay, next time I need to do that different, you know? Oh, I see what I did wrong there. And I know that's just a sign of a good game to me when it sticks in your brain after you've played it. So yeah, the White Castle, definitely worth checking out if you are like medium weight Euro style games. Facade Games is releasing the social deduction game Hollywood 1947. I love the theme of this game. You are essentially working in Hollywood during the communist Red Scare era of the 1940s, 1950s, and you are trying to influence the movies to either be, you know, patriotic movies or communist-leaning propaganda and that sort of stuff. So you are going to have a hidden role, and you are going to be playing cards into a different movie and trying to make it either lean patriotic or lean communist, and you don't know who's who, right? You don't know who wants what, and every player also gets a unique job, like a screenwriter, a director, an actor, an editor, and that's going to give you a special ability for the round. So there's a little bit more intrigue with that. It's not just like put a card in. You have a little bit of something to do, a cool player power. It's full of really awesome, you know, sort of classic movie artwork. So if you like that sort of old-timey movie posters, there's a lot of that in this game. It plays 1 to 9 players in 20 to 40 minutes, and it's a really fun and fast social deduction game. It's also a social deduction game you can teach pretty easily. It's not like got a crazy hard rule set, but there's enough intrigue to it to me that I really liked it. This is one I covered. That it did have a fairly successful Kickstarter, and I made a video about the prototype of it, so I'm excited to see that it is having a retail release, because Facade Games has done a lot of, they have this book series of games. All the games look like books, and they're fun, lighter weight, fast playing, oftentimes hidden role games, and the whole series is worth checking out, I think. So that is Hollywood 1947. Flat River Group, in association with Yellow, is releasing Ancient Knowledge. This is essentially a card game, but it is a card game in a bigger box. It's got more than just cards in it. Plays 2 to 4 players in 75 minutes. But one of the cool things about it, I love card combos and card synergy, and Ancient Knowledge is all about building the synergy between your cards. you're trying to get special abilities from cards that work well together and combo well together and build your engine through cards. But the interesting thing is that at some point, cards will sort of go away and that knowledge is lost. It becomes lost knowledge. But you can pay to keep the card from falling into that lost knowledge area. So, I really want that special ability. I want to prioritize keeping that up here. So that's an interesting decision space, right? Of like, do I want to let that card go away and become lost knowledge, or do I want to invest resources in keeping it around? So, yeah. And, it's got a fun, cool, historical theme. I was a history major in college, so I love historical stuff, and there's going to be Mexican pyramids, the Sphinx of Giza, passing through the famous cities of Tiwanaku and Babylon. Only the cleverest builder will shine through the ages and seize victory. In this game, your only enemy is time. So, yeah, if you like card combinations, if you like civilization building themes, this is a good one for you. And it is in that sort of medium weight category. So, there we go, Ancient Knowledge. Flat River Group, in association with Hegemonic Project, is releasing Hegemony, Lead Your Class to Victory. This is another game that had a big crowdfunding campaign at one point and is now getting its English retail release. I should note that everything in this video, I'm talking about North American releases. I can't speak to European releases. Some of these have already been released in Europe, but this is specifically for their English North American release, and Flat River Group is helping bring this game for the first time to North American retail. Hegemony is an asymmetric, politico-economic, card-driven board game for 2 to 4 players that puts you in the role of one of the socio-economic groups in a fictional state. You are either playing as the working class, the middle class, the capitalist class, or the state itself. So this is very much a game centered around politics, so I think you would need to like politics to like this game, but this is not about like Republicans versus Democrats or specific political candidates. It's not getting into all of those weeds. It's more just about the sort of machinery of politics as a whole. And, you will have this, you will be playing as an asymmetric character, and each of those characters, whether you are the working class or the middle class, you are going to have your own separate goals. You are going to have things you are trying to accomplish in the game. And so if you like sort of different player powers and different asymmetric abilities, this one might be for you. And every player is going to have to deal with things like policies that affect most of their actions, like taxation, labor market, foreign trade, all that stuff. So it really does stay in that theme of politics. This is, everything you are doing is going to be affected by sort of government-themed things in the game. So you can vote on policies. You can use your influence to change them. You are going to be, there's a lot of negotiation. There's a lot of, different things like that in the game. And it's heavily based on actual academic principles, such as social democracy, neoliberalism, nationalism, globalism. If you are interested in those type of themes, then this is going to be a game for you for sure. Funko Games is releasing Five Nights at Freddy's Fightline, but it's Fightline because Five Nights at Freddy's is kind of this light horror theme, but it's Fightline because there is going to be a row of cards and you are going to have characters on it, and only the characters that are at the front of the fight line are going to fight, but you can move your characters along your own fight line. And so it is a 2-player only game, and Funko has done some of these types of games in the past. There is a game behind it, there is real strategy in the game, but it is also a lot about those collectible figures that are in the game. So there are going to be a bunch of there are 20 different character figures from the Five Nights at Freddy's universe, and you are trying to collect them all. And so, you know, if you buy the game, it's only going to come with a few of them, but you can buy expansion packs, you can buy character packs, all that sort of stuff to get new characters to add to your game. And every character is going to have its own stats, its own special ability, that sort of thing, and its own cool little miniature. I had to include this game this month in this video because my niece is obsessed with Five Nights at Freddy's. It's something I didn't know about at all, and she cosplays it all the time. It is what she goes for as Halloween every year. She goes as a different character for like the last 5 years. She loves it very much. And so, you know, I think it's like a video. It's based on like a video game IP or a computer game IP. I don't know. I don't know everything about it. She tells me all of this stuff about it. And one thing also to note is that Five Nights at Freddy's Fightline is a GameStop exclusive. So if I don't mention sort of where it's from in this video, it usually is available at friendly local game stores or online marketplaces, but every once in a while I will tell you a specific place, and this game is a GameStop exclusive, so if you want it, you gotta go there. Grand Gamers Guild is releasing Ahau, Rulers of Yucatan. This is another Euro-style board game that combines elements of worker placement, resource management, and area control, area majority stuff. One of the cool things, one of the things that caught my attention about the game is they did have a cultural and historical consultant on the game, a Mayanist David S. Anderson, professor of anthropology and archaeology at Radford University in Virginia, United States, consulted on this game and they really wanted it to pay homage to the Mayan culture and bringing their history closer to the players. And so they had an expert really help with that. So this game does hopefully accomplish that. It is a 1 to 5 player game, plays in 90 to 120 minutes, and is that sort of, you know, light heavyweight or heavy medium weight style game. You are playing as the leaders of city-states who are all eager to climb the ladder of power and become the most famous ruler of the era. They have the chance to invoke the ancient Mayan deities, make the production flourish, build their pyramid temple and capital, and expand the borders of their territory. So the board is split into different areas, and you are going to be trying to control different areas and, you know, doing stuff. You're doing game stuff. That's the things that you're doing in the game. So, but if you like the Mayan culture, Mayan history, this is a good way to get involved in it. Grandpa Beck's Games is releasing the game Toil Troublez. Grandpa Beck's Games makes really good card games for all ages. They make family weight card games, and this fits right into their line. They have games like Cover Your Assets or Antiquity Quest, Gnoming Around, a bunch of really good ones. This is a 2 to 6 player game, plays 20 to 30 minutes, and plays as young as age 7. So if you're looking for a family weight card game, this is a good one. This combines set collection with push your luck mechanisms. So each turn a player must draw at least one card and then place it in the enchanted forest, and what you're trying to do is get talismans out of the enchanted forest and into your trove to score points. But after you've done the one placement, you can push your luck and keep drawing cards and trying to place them in the enchanted forest, but there's going to be bad things on some cards that are going to make, you know, areas of the enchanted forest worse. And so do you want to keep pushing your luck, drawing more cards and placing them out here? Or do you want to, just do one and then bail? So if you can complete collections, you're going to score points for that. So I love a good push your luck game, and this is like a nice push your luck card game from Grandpa Beck's Games. Hachette, in association with Scorpion Masqué, are releasing the 2-player only cooperative game Sky Team. This is a 2-player dice rolling, dice placement game, and the theme is really cool, and it really comes across in the game. You are a pilot and a co-pilot of a plane trying to land that plane safely at different airports. And so you can strategize before, but once you roll dice, you can't talk about where you're putting stuff. And you need to have the same dice number to keep the wings of the plane level. You need to get the brakes going. You need to start slowing down. There's a lot of different stuff you need to do, and you'll be needing to communicate and strategize before each round. One of the good things, I think, about the game is they have a lot of different airports in the game, which really, ramp up the complexity of the game. The basic airport is pretty simple. Like, you have to work to fail at it. You know what I mean? But it's a great way to learn the game. It's a great way to teach someone else the game, and then you can get to much, much harder airports. And there are real challenges in the game. Whether there's more airplanes on the runway that you have to clear, whether there are, it's a shorter runway, so you have to do everything you need to do very quickly. There aren't too many two-player only cooperative games, right? There are, and so I think this one is doing really well because of that, and because the theme really comes through. You do feel like you're flying a plane and trying to land it safely. So it's definitely one that I like a lot and one to check out for sure. Hachette, in association with Le Scorpion Masque, is also releasing the game Turbo Kidz. If you are looking for a game for kids, a family weight game, then this one seems like a lot of silly fun. It plays 2 to 6 players in about 15 minutes. And what you are doing is one person has to close their eyes, and there is a racetrack, and there are obstacles on the racetrack, and it is going around, and one person is taking a pen and trying to draw and stay on the racetrack. But they have their eyes closed, and another player is directing them by using their thumb like a joystick. Oh, I want you to go that way. I want you to go this way. I want you to slow down. I want you to speed, all of that sort of stuff. And so it's very silly and fun when you're like, oh no, where am I going? And then you open your eyes and you see the crazy path that you drew through this race course. There are 16 unique circuits. So there are going to be different challenges and keeps the game replayable. But if you want, just a silly sort of physical drawing game that works well for all ages, definitely check out Turbo Kidz. Hootenanny Games is releasing the card game Snarkas. I'm always thinking about how to create new gamers. I'm sure a lot of you think about that as well. And to me, one of the best ways to do that is card games that feel like classic card games, but have modern twists and have sort of more stuff going on than just a 52 card game. And so Snarkas feels like one of those things to me. It feels like a classic card game, but with some more fun things going on. It plays 2 to 4 players in about 15 to 30 minutes. And the way the game works is you're going to have cards in your hand, and there's a card row. If you play the same number as something in the row, you're going to take that number. If you play something where multiple things in the row add up to that number, you're going to take all of those cards that add up to that number. And if you can ever clear the row, you take every card that's in the row, you're going to take a thing worth 10 points. And so it's just about clever playing of cards. And you're also trying to think about like, oh, I could take some of these cards, but that only leaves one card for the next player, which might allow them to clear the row and get that 10-point card, and I don't want to do that for them. And so, there's definitely player interaction in terms of thinking about what other people are going for, what cards they might have in their hand, but it's really just a quick playing card game. Feels again like a classic card game, but with some fun modern twists to it. So if you like small box card games, I think Snarkas is one to check out. Indie Boards and Cards is bringing the game Doodle Dash to the United States. I love Doodle Dash. It is one of my favorite drawing party games. If I'm thinking of drawing party games, I'm thinking Telestrations, I'm thinking Monstrosity, and I'm thinking Doodle Dash. Those are probably my 3 favorite drawing card games. And so this game was available You know, you could bring it over from Europe, and that's how I got it. But now it's having a dedicated, you know, retail release in North America through indie boards and cards. The way the game works is one player doesn't know the hidden word. They have to keep their eyes closed, and then everybody else on the count of 3 starts drawing that word as quickly as possible. The first person to finish grabs this dowel in the middle of the table. The next person to finish rolls the dice, and then everybody else has to finish when they roll stop. Now, the trick is the person that doesn't know the word opens their eyes, and only the first person to finish can show them their drawing. So there's this real balance of you want to draw it fast in order to be the person to show your drawing, but also if it's unintelligible, I'm going to open my eyes and be like, what is that? Is that a donkey? Is that a child? I don't know what you were going for here. And so then if they can't guess it off of that person, then the next person to finish drawing shows their drawing. And so as you see more drawings, you're going to have a better idea of what the thing is, but you want to draw fast. And that's one of the other things that's nice about it. It is a party game. It is a drawing game where drawing well doesn't matter. You know, you're just trying to do stick figure things and just finish it as quickly as possible. I'm an awful drawer, but I can still be competitive in this game because it's not about drawing well, it's just about drawing quickly. So, Colossal Games is releasing the game Almost Innocent. This is a cooperative deduction game for 2 to 4 players, plays in about 30 to 45 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. The game has a progressive story in which your teammates must work together across different scenarios to prove your innocence. So everybody, you are working together, and you have to basically be responsible for the solution to the player next to you. So everybody is responsible for the solution of the player next to them, and you're learning things by asking you're asking questions that will help not only you but everybody else at the table, and you are deducing who did stuff, where they did stuff, that sort of thing. You know, you want to, it's like the Clue thing where you're trying to figure out who committed the crime, with what weapon, and where before time runs out. But the interesting thing about it is that each player has their own solution, and you are in charge of figuring out the solution for the player next to you. And so it is a cooperative deduction game where each player is going to have a different answer, but we need to figure that out together. Cosmos is releasing the game Dragonkeepers, and this has some real adorable dragon artwork in it for sure. Plays 2 to 4 players in about 20 minutes, and it is a lighter weight card game. It is a competitive game. You are drawing dragons and then using dragons to complete sets and things like that. But one of the interesting things is there will be 2 cards, sort of these draw piles, and on the back of them it'll say like 4 and white dragon. And so if I want to put stuff down in front of me to score points, I need to put 4 white dragons down because that's what the current thing is that it's saying. But I can mitigate that sort of stuff. I can play one of my cards, might be part of a set, but the other side of it can change what's up here. So, actually, I want to play 4 red dragons instead, and I have those, boom, I'm playing my 4 red dragons because I played one of my cards up there to change what needs to be played. And so it's a quick playing card game, but it's an intriguing game of, set collection and mitigating what needs to be played right then. And again, full of adorable artwork, so that is definitely a reason to check it out. I love cute dragons. Come on, who doesn't? So yeah, that's Dragonkeepers from Cosmos. If you're looking for like a family weight card game, that's a good one for you. Lucky Duck Games is releasing Senjutsu Battle for Japan. This is a samurai-themed skirmish game where you are just fighting all the other samurais on the board. It plays 1 to 4 players, plays in about 20 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. But 20 minutes is like one battle, and you can just reset and play again, and you're probably going to want to. There is a deck construction mechanic in the game where you are trying to build your own unique deck, and your deck is going to have different cards that attack, that are going to have different defenses, they're going to have dynamic special moves. There's all these different things that you can do out on the board to try to attack and defend from other people's attacks. One of the things that I like about this too is there is simultaneous card play with combat, where you're all going to be choosing a card, putting it down, and then revealing it simultaneously. So all the battle happens at once. Everything is going to be, we're all fighting each other at the same time. And there's also a ton of really great miniatures in the game. It looks really cool, all these different sculptures, and so you want to be moving around the battlefield and fighting your opponents. Any samurai who takes 5 wounds will fall, and you want to be the last samurai standing. So it works well as 2 players, but you can also have like an all-out skirmish with 4 players playing it for sure. So yeah, if you like a sort of arena combat style, if you like the samurai theme, check this one out for sure. Matago is releasing Orion Duel. This is a 2-player only dueling space game. Plays in about 25 minutes and is a lighter to maybe light medium weight in that category. But you are placing these tiles out on the board, and there are 3 different ways to win. You can win by connecting opposite sides of the board with an unbroken chain of your color tile. You can also win by collecting 4 galaxy pieces on your color, or by making your opponent get 3 black hole pieces on their color. And so it is just a clever game of placing these tiles out, trying to connect different things, trying to force your opponent into bad positions. They are going to then counter that, and you have to, there's a real just sort of push and pull, as there is with, most 2-player games. And so it is an abstract game, but it looks cool and is set in space. And so, can you get to one of those win conditions before your opponent? That's the whole thing here. If you like abstract 2-player games, then Orion Duel might be one for you. Osprey Games is releasing General Orders World War II. This is a 2-player only game, plays in about 30 minutes, and it is a medium weight game, but a lighter medium weight game. This is sort of in that same world as Undaunted, where this is a war-themed game, but not just war-themed mechanisms. This is a worker placement game at its core, and you are going to be placing out stuff. You are, you're competing commanders, you're fighting against someone else commanding troops, and you are placing out stuff and then using a benefit of where you placed. There's my water bottle over there. I'm very thirsty. It's hot in here. But you are placing out, these things and then taking the special benefit of the place that you put in, like a worker placement game where something's going to allow you to advance. Maybe some things are going to retreat, gives you different special abilities, that sort of stuff. And so you want to be, securing supply lines, warding off aerial assaults and artillery barrages. Protect your vulnerable headquarters in this compact and elegant 2-player game. So, whereas like Undaunted was sort of, mixed like deck building with the war theme, this is mixing worker placement with the war theme. So, the war theme is a little bit lighter. It's still about the mechanisms of the game, sort of the modern game mechanisms of it. So, and plays pretty quickly. So that's General Orders World War II. Portal Games is releasing Imperial Miners. This is set in their sort of world of Imperial settlers, but, really the only thing connecting them is like the art style and the characters in it, but it is a completely unique gameplay. You don't have to have played any of the other games in that world. This is a light engine building card game for 1 to 5 players, plays in 20 to 60 minutes, and is that light sort of medium weight category. But what you're going to be doing is you're going to be playing cards down and getting special abilities, getting benefits for those cards. But then you can move up your line of cards and activate different special abilities until you get to the surface. That's sort of the mining theme. But one of the interesting things is every time you play a card, it doesn't directly connect to a card above it. Everything is offset. So when you want to activate different card abilities, you are constantly going to be coming to branches in cards, and you have to decide, do I want the ability of that card or this card? Okay, now I'm up here, do I want the ability of that card or this card? And so it's full of those, interesting decisions about like, oh, which way do I want to go on my own route to get the benefits that I need right now? And so that, that's the thing that makes it feel different, the thing that makes it feel cool. And I like card combos. I like getting different special abilities. And, it's one of those things where like you play a card down, you're going to activate that ability, but you're going to get it again and again, because anytime you put a card below it, you can still activate that ability again. And that's very satisfying for sure. So Imperial Miners, if you like card combos, then check out Imperial Miners from Portal Games. Smirk and Dagger is releasing the cooperative game Tesseract. I really like this game. I put it in I make a monthly video for Rahdo Runs Through channel. Check that out if you want to. I make a video on my top 5 games of the month. I play usually somewhere between 20 and 25 new games every month. And so this made my top 5 of the month for September. It's really good. It is a cooperative game where there's going to be this big old chunk of dice. There are 64 dice in this big cube, and you are trying to manipulate the dice and contain the anomaly before all of the dice are gone from the platform. And there's a lot of table presence in the game because that big old cube of dice rotates on this platform so everybody can grab from different parts of it. And one of the things I like about it is that it is a cooperative game that feels truly cooperative in the sense that, yes, we are all taking our own individual turns, but we need to be planning and working together the entire time, or we are going to fail. If I'm just like, this is what I need to do, then we're doing a disservice to the team. We all need to be talking about, okay, well, if you do this, then you could do this, and then I'll do this. Oh, I need to set you up for the next turn. And so we're always communicating about how to set each other up and take efficient turns. And I like that. I don't love cooperative games where it's like, yeah, we're winning and losing together, but we're just kind of doing our own thing. No, this is a game where we have to constantly be talking and figuring out what's the best way to do dice manipulation in the game. So, yeah, if you like cooperative games, that will be for sure in my top cooperative games of the year, I think. Steamforge Games is releasing Resident Evil, the board game. So this is based on the original Resident Evil video game. Now, Steamforge has already made Resident Evil 2 the board game and Resident Evil 3 the board game over the past few years. So now they're going back to the beginning of the IP and making Resident Evil the board game based on the original game. It is a cooperative survival horror game for 1 to 4 players, plays in 60 to 90 minutes, and is medium weight complexity. But when I say it plays in 60 to 90 minutes, you can either play it as standalone one-shots. Every scenario in the game is playable as a standalone, 60 to 90 minute one-shot, but it is also a campaign game that is playable over 27 hours, where every decision counts and has far-reaching consequences, and so you can play it through a whole campaign, and whenever you play it through campaign, you're going to get more story, you're going to get more lore that is sort of unfolding as you go. And so, can you work to survive? That's the question in Resident Evil. There's going to be a lot of horror stuff, and you got to try to figure it out, and, you can fight, you can flee, you can do all these different things to survive. So if you like Resident Evil, then check out this. This is sort of back to the beginning from Steamforge Games. WizKids is releasing the game Unboxed. This is WizKids' first foray into sort of puzzle solving games like an Exit or type of game like that. There are a lot of puzzle-solving games out there, and this is the first one WizKids has done. But the thing I like about this one is the theme of it. You and your friends take on the role of archaeology interns, and you uncover caches of ancient board games, and you are trying to figure out how they play. Every sort of scenario in the game is you trying to basically reverse engineer the game. You're going to have some components, and you're just trying to figure out how the game is played. And so, there's a lot of deduction, a lot of puzzle solving in it. It has that puzzle experience, but I like that theme of like trying to figure out how did the rule book is gone. How is this game played? I think that will definitely appeal to a lot of gamers. There are 10 scenarios in the game, so you have a number of things to play through for sure, with 10 different things to figure out. And so that is Unboxed from WizKids. That's what I got for you. That's 30 of the best games coming to retail in October 2023. If you are interested in the over 20 other board games coming to retail, that is a thing I do for my Patreon subscribers. So you're welcome to join my Patreon, and then you'll hear about some of the other games that are coming to retail that I wasn't able to include in this video. It's just patreon.com/GrantsGameRex. I also have t-shirts and other things. You can find links for that in the description of this video if you want a Grants Game Rex t-shirt. And as always, I appreciate the likes and the subscribes and sharing this video with other people. I hope that it is a helpful video for the community, so you can find something that you're really excited about that maybe flew under your radar. So yeah, that's always my hope for this video. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Grant with Grants Game Rex.